Yo, what's good with you? Back in black with another Enlisted video. If you guys are new to the channel and you love shooting games just like me, make sure you aim for that like button and shoot that subscribe button as well. It'll help you find better teammates and improve your skill-based matchmaking. At least I hope so. In this video, I would like to break down the most useful perk recommendations for the Engineer Soldier class in Enlisted to make you as effective as possible on the battlefield and useful to your team. Generally speaking, Engineers are considered the most useful class in Enlisted, being able to make a number of structures, both offensive, defensive, and supportive, to give your team the overall edge in winning a game, whether it be an overwhelming role or a game down to the wire. Not that it's guaranteed, but I would venture as far as to say 80% of the time the team that has the most building points at the end of the game is usually going to be the one that wins. Of course, you have to factor in a lot of other things like kills, but again, this is a general rule that you can apply to most of your games in Enlisted. And that said, considering that Engineers have an entire category dedicated to them on the scoreboard reflecting what they do in any given match, one could easily surmise that the Engineer is one of the most important, if not the most important class in Enlisted, making it very important for you to spec the perks as efficiently as possible to get the most use out of them whenever you're actually using one in game. Something else to keep in mind for these perk videos is that you always want to attack the perks from the standpoint of either buffing what skills make the particular soldier class more effective, and also from the standpoint of attacking the bad stats of a weapon that you have in hand, or conversely accentuating what good stats the weapon already has to make it even better overall. However, I will say with the Engineer class in particular, this is probably one of the soldier classes where you want to focus more so on boosting the skills more so than boosting the stats of the weapon that you have in your hand, as it will be more important for you to contribute to your team with your abilities than it will be for you to get as many kills as possible with the Engineer. But finally, with all that context out of the way, I would like to start with the mobility category, or the green perks. The first one that I want you to grab is the usual movement speed while crawling or crouching, but this time I only recommend spending 1 point here, as we're mostly doing this to accumulate enough points to unlock the next tier, which will have the better options. The only other perk aside from that one I'm highly going to recommend is going to be the speed of changing pose, because the faster you can get in and out of cover or change your stance, the easier it is to avoid bombs and bullets, and you will find that life extending with the Engineer is one of the main things that I'm going to be preaching for this soldier class. You don't really need the extra jump height on this class for any good reason that I can think of. If somehow, some way, somebody has a good reason that an Engineer would need extra jump height, I would be more than happy to hear your counter argument and debate you down there in the comment section, but I genuinely feel it's just a waste of a perk point. The same thing could be said about the fire extinguishing speed, as I personally just don't see Molotovs, napalm, or flame troopers often enough for it to be warranted as a must grab, so I just skip over that one for the Engineer. Getting into the second tier for the mobility or the green perks, the only one that I would want you to be grabbing out of this section is going to be the medpack usage speed. Something that I've noticed in my time playing Engineer personally is that they have a high propensity to be targeted not only by the players if they see you running with your hammer out, but also very often by the bots in a general sense. Especially if you're in the middle of building a structure and partially exposed, it seems to draw aggro from them as if you were actually shooting. So if you do happen to get shot or hit by a bomb or whatever causes you to go into a down state, you want to be able to get back up at least slightly faster than normal and finish building your structure and defending yourself, because odds are, if it was a player that downed you, that player is more than likely going to be coming over there to finish the job, because they also more than likely know how important Engineers are to the team's success. Moving into the final tier for the green or mobility perks, this is actually a bit refreshing, because normally we just gloss over this section due to how expensive the perks here typically are. But no, my friend, this is actually the section where you want to go all in, because we get a soldier class exclusive perk for faster building speed down here that will turn your Engineer into Bob the Builder. The faster you can get up those rally points, or honestly any supportive structure for your team, the faster you and your team can impact the game and impact winning. So def would max this out before any other green perks, just gotta spend enough to unlock it, which will bring me into our next perk category, which is going to be the red or vitality perks. Moving into the first section of the vitality or the red perks, this is another one of those categories where you want to be a little more conservative with your point usage, as none of these directly affect your overall usefulness as an engineer, except for the stamina recovery, since you can get that back faster to sprint from one location to another. Heaven forbid you run out of stamina in the open while getting shot as an engineer, as even God won't help you, the way these bots are programmed to shoot the NGs first. But moving downward into the second tier, the vitality red perks, most of your points will indeed be getting spent here because we are getting another class exclusive perk that allows our engineers to carry more building materials. Honestly, a must grab, and I highly implore you to max it out because this is the type of perk that can help you go flawless or at least get a great KD ratio and win-loss as an infantry soldier, allowing you to make a plethora of rally points to efficiently progress your team or defend a singular location throughout the duration of a match, not to mention the ammo boxes for unlimited bullets so long as you can survive. Nothing worse than needing to build something and seeing not enough materials left and red pop up on your screen. But other than that, I would highly suggest grabbing the perk for the amount of health restored by the med pack. As much replenishing as the engineer can do, the one thing he cannot do for himself or for his team is restore health, and that's quite the conundrum for such a targeted class. So make sure you get as much health back as you can when bandaging, because losing an NG in your squad sucks way more compared to losing a rifleman or something of that nature. Lastly, grab at least one stamina perk because it couples well with the stamina regeneration, and you'll be needing that to get around the map in a timely fashion with the engineer, so the more you can sprint, the better. As a sidebar, make sure you give your engineer an axe or a sword too if you have one, unless you're just one of those guys who likes to dig with shovels. Good times, seeing people who still like to dig. That used to be the thing back in the day a couple years ago. I'm sure most of you can tell, but because we spent so many points in the second tier of the vitality section, obviously we're not going to have enough for the vitality perk itself, which is typically found at the bottom of the red category. So that said, you can obviously gloss over it, but of course coming up last we have to cover the weapon or yellow perk category. And for the first tier, I reckon you'll get great utility out of the decreased shot deviation while quick turning and the weapon change speed perk. If you think about it, as an engineer, constantly you're going to be switching between your hammer, your gun, and your melee weapon designated for sprinting, or maybe even a grenade. So the faster you can swap, what's actually in your hands, the less likely you are to get caught with your pants down if somebody rounds the corner while you're in the middle of building a structure in a house, for example. The decreased shot deviation from quick turning is just a flat bonus in a shooting game period, so I always recommend that as a purchase to get yourself from tier 1 to tier 2 perks. Speaking of which, for tier 2 yellow perks, this alludes back to how I said survivability is the most important thing for the engineer class. So with that in mind, I think the most important thing you can do here is max out your greater chance of going into a downstate perk. This has saved my life countless times in a match, as it should. And when I run this perk to a high degree in combination with a large backpack and 4 medkits, I find my engineer squads lasting way longer, and I find my teams winning a lot more without my direct intervention, in the kill count column on the scoreboard. And it's nice to know that you can still have a profound impact on winning with a lot of engineer points instead. But that's not to say that shooting your gun isn't important at all. So once you max out or get as many points as you can in the downstate chance perk, I would put the rest, if you have enough available or any points available, in the vertical recoil control slot, as that will always come in handy no matter what class or soldier you're using, because less recoil on a weapon is always going to be a good thing when you're out there in the middle of a battle. Last thing I wanted to say at the end of all of this is that I know I preached a lot about surviving and choosing skill enhancing perks over weapon handling perks, but at the end of the day you still got to get on the point, and you still got to be good at shooting people in order to get the most out of I guess using your engineer class in general, or just having a better chance of winning the game. If you build rally points but your entire team, including yourself, isn't good at shooting people, then you guys are still going to lose. So I do want you to understand that at the end of the day. But yeah, man, that pretty much takes care of how I would go about setting up my engineer perks. Generally, I try to set them up in a way that allows me to heal moderately to very fast, build as fast as possible, and I try to give my engineer as much resources as I can to build all game if he lives that long. And I try to increase their survivability as much as possible with some stamina bonuses in there as well. Hopefully that helps you get better at the game and get more use out of this particular soldier class in a nutshell. If you enjoyed or learned something useful, don't forget to aim for that like button and shoot that subscribe button as well. Help you find better teammates and improve your skill-based matchmaking. And yeah, I hope you guys have a lovely rest of your day. Thank you guys very much for watching. Black Guy out.